challenged this church great was the vote on becoming open and affirming. And I don't know exactly what year that was, but it was early on when this challenge was put to United Church of Christ people. That, okay, the time has come to declare that any and all are welcome in this church. So we had a healthy debate about it and a lot of mixed feelings, but it did pass, and I think that overall there may have been a few people who left, but you know, every time you lose people like that, you lose the others who come because we did what we did. So it has a mixed blessing, to say the least. Let's see, then we called Peter and David, and that was not too long after that. And that was another kind of issue that could have split the church. It was handled so well by this church. Peter and David came, I think, the first of a long week, and almost every night they were available in the chapel or in the lounge just to talk to people, to answer questions, to get acquainted, and have some tea, some dessert. So that there was a good sense of who these men are, just not a gay couple, but they are strong ministerial leaders. And the search committee was very enthusiastic about them. So they did their candidate sermon, and then we had the vote, and it was a vote to call them. And again, I would say that there was a small number, and a lot of them were in my generation, who, I remember someone coming up saying, Margaret, this church is just going to become a gay church, you know, we're never going to be the church we used to be. And as I say, every Sunday morning when I sit there and see all these families with all these little kids, you know, going on, I think, sorry folks, you missed the boat. And so, some folks who left actually did come back and have since become quite different in their attitude toward the gay lesbian issues, yeah. Then, shortly after that, or about the same time, we took the challenge of establishing a teen ministry. And that was kind of new on the horizon for any kind of a church. I mean, it was this traditional, I don't like the word hierarchy because that sounds a little too much, but a senior minister, associates, assistants, but there was one who was in charge. So to consider going into a teen ministry was kind of risky. And how's it going to work, and how are you going to get people who are going to work together, that sort of thing, you know. But again, we had a church meeting about it, and it was voted, yes, let's do this. And then shortly after that, my mind slips right now as to what the personnel structure was, but I know we were also looking for what would have been a senior minister. But now we were looking for an experienced candidate who would come in as a teen person, who had probably, or could have been, in his former church, been a senior minister. And we found Don McKenzie. And Don was very much open to this challenge. He felt like it was a new way to handle the ministry, and was really quite enthusiastic. And he had come from a very strong position in Dartmouth, New Hampshire, and so for him it was a shift in the way he would, in the role he would have. But, well, in the role as a senior, but not in the role as a minister. And so, I don't know how long we've had the teen ministry now, 10, 12, 15 years maybe?
It's been 15.
15, yeah. And it works. It really works. Now, every kind of ministry has its loopholes, and I'm sure there are a few with having a teen ministry, but that would be no different if it were structured the other way. So again, back to the commitment to social concerns, and I'm just about done here. But it's always been a very large part of our church budget has been the whole social concerns and activist stuff. And certainly the building of the apartment building, Sortune Court, across the street from us, which was originally just an open parking lot like Lot A is, but raised the money, built that for very low income housing for, I don't know, 8 or 10 families that could live there. But it was, again, this outreach that this church has always had as a part of it, is to not just look into our community and take care of us, but reach out and see where the needs are, and where can we, in effect, do what we have been called to do. Done a lot of work with Habitat for Humanity, especially when I first came back here. There were volunteer groups, Jim McGrath and his wife were, one of them, I got to know them, but we go out and work in various places in the city where houses were being built as Habitat. And, you know, most recently, and maybe some of you experienced this, having the Nicholsville tent city in our parking lot out there. And not all of these decisions decisions have been popular with 100% of the congregation. But, you know, there is something underlying that, because people do stay with us. And they say, I wish we hadn't done that, but it's my church. This is my community. I belong here. And if this is what the majority do, okay, I go along with it then. So being on the liberal social action end of things isn't always a peaceful, easy way to go. But it does help us to be who we are committed to being. And then I just want to close with sharing something with you that goes back in history of ways, but also may bring us right up to where we are too. And it's just a few words from an annual report that my father wrote in 1953. And when I read this, I thought, my gracious, it sounds like he could be talking about our church today. So what he said was this: the religion which Jesus taught and practiced, Christianity, is intensely practical. Either it has something to do with the way we live, or else it is only a mental and spiritual exercise. I think the church ought to teach and preach and live the religion of Jesus, which was both practical and powerful. It is our aim to build a kind of church in which people find not only comfort and peace, but also inspiration, happiness, and oft-repeated quickening of the human spirit. And when I read that, I thought, my gracious, and that's not unlike what we now have as our sort of, I don't know what you call it, but imagine love and justice. Jesus did, we do. And I think the whole underlying message that I'd like to get to people who are new to the church, that what we are is not new. In Seattle, it is not new to us, but it has been in operation and growing and learning and expanding and over 80 years or so. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to hear any comments. I would be very happy to receive them.
When did we add Catherine in?
Catherine came in 2001. And I was on the search committee to bring Catherine here, and I got to tell you a story about her. Because she was in California, and we had met for 20 months and had not found the person. And when we got Catherine's biography, this is the person we want for this church. So first, the way we do it now, I guess they still do, is that the candidate or the potential candidate comes to the Seattle area so the search committee can go and hear the minister lead a service and preach, and then make a judgment as to whether they want to pursue it further. Well, Catherine, lucky woman, got here the Sunday after September 11th and had to preach a sermon. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. So Catherine, I'll never forget that about you. It was just a high point in life that you could be there and be in this awful, painful situation and still bring us the word and the love of Jesus and what we should do about it. So she's been here since 2001. Yeah.
And Amy just started last September.
And Gina was on Amy's search.
The Peter you mentioned is the same Peter that we have here now.
The what? Yeah.
Peter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now David left 2 or 3 years ago to pursue
I think
others.
it was 4 or 5, yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, 5 years ago. Almost yesterday. So then, and that was when there's been this opening. We've had interims over several years. I should have put this in, I'm sorry. And then the search committee, were you on that search committee, Jan?
No, I was just on one for Amy.
Yeah, okay. It was when they found Amy Room. And they had done quite a search before they made their decision on who to recommend to us. And when she came and met us, we all just, hey, this is our house, we're so lucky. So Amy then took the place that Dave had left several years before. Any other comments or questions? I see so many familiar names on your name tag. I'm really glad to see you here.